You know, the other thing that's
this is all happening, right?
the other thing that's really important to remember is the question about when will the dollar ever be pegged to it. It'll never be pegged to it. And the reason for that, obviously, there's lots of reasons. But the biggest reason why government's never going to like Bitcoin is because it's not controlled, right? So creating regulation, that's what we talked about before with the regulation part of it, is that if there was a way for, you know, government techies, who, by the way, are always about 3 generations behind the actual techies on this stuff, if there was a way for them to be able to manipulate it and control it, they would love Bitcoin. I mean, our government should love Bitcoin because it would be this great way of not having to print dollars, right? Everything's electronic, and if every transaction is electronic, that's even easier to track and monitor and tax. But because of the way it's created and established, it protects against that very issue, right? It's about anonymity, it's about privacy, it's about peer-to-peer. And so government will never be an adopter of it.
Okay, an $802,000 transaction.
And guess what the fees were on that?
0.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That's a lot of money.
So if you are thinking about trying to go buy a little Bitcoin, based on what he's saying, you might want to do that sooner rather than later.
802,000.
It's all happening this weekend. Other questions? Yeah, right here, then we'll go back to him. Yep.
So the more transactions that happen, the sooner it will seek its natural value, right?
Well, we don't know what that is, though, the natural value. It's
The
you know,
agreed-on price between buyers and sellers.
that's all it is. The right price for Bitcoin is somewhere between 0 and infinity.
Okay. So I know that trillions of dollars a day run through the foreign exchange market. Are there any major brokers right now who are looking to integrate Bitcoin into their platforms and what they exchange?
I have a good friend of mine who's one of the top money managers at Morgan Stanley, and she has become the house Bitcoin expert. I wouldn't call her that, though, really. She's really naive, but the big money management houses are very late to the game. They're just now sort of figuring this out. So they'll be sort of last adopters. First adopters are the smallest companies. Have you noticed this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's because it's like trying to turn a cruise ship, right? It's like they have their business model worked out. I do know several money managers, though, who are quitting their jobs at big firms. And they're not even libertarians. They're just guys who deal with money, and they're quitting their jobs because they want to start Bitcoin retirement savings accounts, and I mean, they see the future in it, right? And so for them, it's not an ideological thing. It's about money. It's about, this is a great technology, and there are a lot of people who are going to be in on this, and we want to also. Jeffrey's getting awfully excited about it.
Yeah, well, I just saw there's another transaction. I just have to calculate.
This lady back here, go ahead.
You know, you say if you buy low and sell high, I mean, is there any way that the government can put a capital gains tax on your net transaction?
I'm sure they would love to. Again, the problem is knowing that it's yours. So he just said $1 million over here was one of these transactions.
1 million, yeah,
$1,081,200. 0 fees.
yeah.
But see, okay, so that is an exchange of Bitcoin, okay, between two parties. But if that was done anonymously, right? If it was done in a peer-to-peer, and then say that now whoever received that $1 million says I'm going to now go spend it, but I'm not going to go cash it out. I'm just going to spend it within the system. How are you going to tax that? No one knows who's doing it. Yes.
I was going to say, in reference to the mainstream market, the Winklevi are bringing a Bitcoin ETF to NASDAQ. Sometime.
Oh, that's true. That was in the Wall Street Journal, I guess, almost like even like 9 or 10 months ago. Yeah, yeah.
They're very big on this.
Yeah.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
Also at the conferences, there's a lot of people sniffing around. It's like constantly. People are very interested in it, from investors to regulators to, I don't know, just finance people that, I don't think that all finance people that work in finance are evil. I think that they're also disillusioned with the system. I have a lot of friends that work in that industry that are like, this is garbage. So they're not, working against us necessarily on an individual level.
I mean, the old dollar system of exchange is so old-fashioned. I mean, it's just an embarrassment, really. It's just an anachronism. It's just ridiculous. Credit cards, 60 years old. They're not made for the internet. We had to hack the system even to get them to work. So you just have to slightly dip into the Bitcoin world and realize just what a massive difference it is.
I guess you can't have a Bitcoin conference without asking about gold. So, first question would be, you guys own gold personally, and the second would be, what would some major player out there, the Chinese, eventually the Russians, maybe even us, move forward with a global backed currency?
Well, I mean, that would be a brilliant thing. There's no reason for any government or any central bank in the world to adopt gold. All it would do is limit their power. So they're never going to.
There's nothing else out there, right? I mean, if you know, obviously you can see it's a race to the bottom today with all the major currencies in the world. You know, we're just following.
So here's the problem with gold, and I don't think people understood this until Bitcoin came along. It takes up a lot of space and it weighs a lot. You know, and that's a real problem for a globalized economy, where you want to be able to move currency very, very quickly between individuals anywhere in the world. You can't move gold like that. It just doesn't move very quickly. It's too old-fashioned really for the digital age.
I will say that there are a number of gold and silver companies that are doing the majority of their sales in Bitcoin now.
Like a margin
People are buying them.
That's
Like
what I
metals.
wanted to mention, I love those guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Most
you
of
can
their
buy gold
businesses-
and silver with Bitcoin.
And most of that's what their transactions are. People buy in Bitcoin, they're buying gold and silver with Bitcoin. But again, those are anonymous transactions in some cases.
I just did an interview with Bob Murphy, so you guys probably know Bob Murphy, and the Moggy Metals guys, so if you Google that, that might be kind of fun if you're interested in gold and Bitcoin, because we talked about it.
Yeah, and again, just back to the point of, so it's a cool idea that the Chinese are like buying up all the gold and telling their people, I know we're communists, but go ahead and buy gold too. And so this is all happening. India's buying up all this gold. Libya has, huge stockpiles of it. But I think once you have figured out the whole fiat thing, which we've obviously done, and other nations have as well, why not just keep fiat currency? I mean, it's all made up, right? It's just a game. You're just making up value. And so when it eventually crashes, why not just create a new fiat? We're just exchanging, we just all have to agree to it, right? This is all pretend that it's worth something and everything's fine. So I think convincing a government that at some point it has to peg its currency to something again, I think we're beyond kind of that time. Until we get to the Mad Max point, and then it'll be
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
I'm definitely going to get into Bitcoin just because of the idea behind it. But one of my concerns or thoughts is, like, when the government tries to take over and just shut down the internet in large areas, if everything's kind of transacted through Bitcoins, that control a huge portion of the system.
They could stop it temporarily. But the important thing to remember about the blockchain is that it truly is immortal. As soon as the internet comes back, well, first thing to say is the internet's never gone down. I mean, that's just true.
In the United States.